Mets here, for all your Mets here, let's go. Bring it home, bring it home, bring it home Make it happen. There's no stopping us now. We're gonna do it again. It's not a question of how. It's just a matter. It's just a matter. It's just a matter of when.
Hello again, everybody. Joe Piscopo, Shea Stadium. The big story. Mets 86. Exciting, thrilling, awesome. Let's take a look.
What's up, Met fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets at Rum and another Mets Talk live on this very, very somber, disappointing, angry, pissed off type of day. If you have been under a rock, you heard last night during the Puerto Rico Dominican Republic World Baseball Classic game, winner take all goes to the next round. Edwin Diaz was lights out for the ninth inning to win the ball game for Puerto Rico. That was when Twitter was like, look how dominant Edwin Diaz is. And not too long after that, my phone's blowing up. Everything's going crazy. What the hell's going on? And guess what? Edwin Diaz is on the floor because he got hurt celebrating an exhibition World Baseball Classic. If you don't believe this is an exhibition, pay attention to exactly what this baseball classic is all about. It is a complete money grab for Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred. This is a complete money grab, and this is not about the players. This is not about pride. This is not about what Rob Manfred is doing for the betterment of the game. Because if this really was, and some people brought it up on Twitter, which they're completely wrong about, major sports take time off out of their season to play the World Cup and other, the Olympics and stuff like that. Well, guess what? That's great. That's why there's a World Cup. That's why there's the Olympics, for pride of your country. You're going to tell me that Francisco Lindor and Edwin Diaz aren't going to have pride in their country and support their country and, wave their flag for their country? If there wasn't a World Baseball Classic, what were they doing 10 years ago? What were they doing 15 years ago? Like, it's completely annoying. And this was going to happen at some point. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If this was Mike Trout, if this was Shohei Ohtani, the darlings of Major League Baseball, the face of Major League Baseball, guess what? This would have been a bigger story than it is, more of a story in New York than if you look. I was listening to national broadcast around the country, ESPN, they brought it up because the World Baseball Classic, they can care less about real baseball, but they'll worry about the World Baseball Classic. If this was so important and so much of a World Cup vibe or an Olympics vibe, why is it on Fox Sports? Why is it on actual Fox? Why isn't it on a major television network and they sneak it in on Fox Sports, which is like the third channel of Fox? All right, so I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't matter, because if this was Trey Turner blowing out his knee, even if it wasn't during a celebration, put it this way with Edwin Diaz. If Edwin Diaz would have blown out his elbow throwing a pitch in the World Baseball Classic, I would have felt a little bit less upset, because it was actually during a baseball pitch, during a baseball situation. That would have been different. But nobody can tell me, oh, he could have got hurt in spring training. Yeah, sure, but he would have been celebrating the ninth inning, 3 strikeouts at the end of a game on a spring training ball game on March 15th. He would have been celebrating and did celebrate because of an exhibition World Baseball Classic. And I don't blame the players for being excited and passionate for playing for their country. I understand that. Wearing their colors. That's not what I'm upset about. The point is that this was a money grab by Major League Baseball, and it concerns players like this. Edwin Diaz is probably, if not one of the most, is the most important player on the New York Mets as a World Series contender. And you can say they're still World Series contender. It's a huge blow. And, you can say the Mets went from 98 win team to a 94 win team or a 93 win team. Again, that's a lot of speculation. That's just opinions at this point. The point of the matter is, if it's a freak accident or not, this wouldn't have happened in a spring training game. When he struck out the side in the 9th inning on March 15th at the World Baseball Classic, if he struck out the side in the 9th inning of a spring training game on March 15th, that celebration would have never happened. He would have high-fived his catcher. He would have fist-pumped his infielders and the team once for a good win for spring training, and they would have went in the dugout and went home. Because the World Baseball Classic is a passionate experience because of the passion of the players playing for their country, this could happen. And they're not getting paid to do this. The Mets, and I'm telling you guys right now, with this injury, there's going to be clauses in players' contracts. If you're going to play in the WBC and you get injured playing for the WBC, the contract's going to be null and void. And I'm telling you this right now. The Players Association, they might be pissed off about it and they might not agree at first, but I'm telling you guys right now, there's going to be contracts that are going to be said, hey, listen, you want this much money? Well, guess what? You play into WBC, and this is every 4 years, so you don't have to go crazy that it's every year. There's going to be clauses. You go into the WBC, you're on your own. Your contract will be null and void if you get injured in the WBC because you chose to play in the WBC. But another thing's going to happen because of this, guys, and that is owners and teams and organizations are going to tell their players, no, you are not playing. Just like Cashman did with Luis Severino and other owners and other organizations said to their players, you are not playing in the WBC. It's going to come down to that. Yes, the players are going to get pissed off, but guess what? The WBC, no matter if it's for your country and it's the pride of your country, it is an exhibition. All right, this is not the World Cup. 1 billion people are not watching this. This is every 4 years, so that means a lot of people should be watching it. Not saying that 1 billion people should be watching the WBC. But let's be honest, guys. I'm not staying up at 10 o'clock at night because USA's playing in Arizona against Colombia. I watched 2 innings and I went to bed. And it was a good game, as I heard. But I'm not sitting up watching a ball game that does not matter to me. That doesn't mean I'm un-American. It's just, it's an exhibition, and I don't care less. Every 4 years, I watch the summer. Every couple of years, I watch the Summer Olympics. I watch the Winter Olympics. I watch the World Cup. But that's pride for your country. All right, that's what we watch every couple of years. All right, I don't want to see the WBC because if this was Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani, it would be bigger news. But because it's the New York Mets and Edwin Diaz, it's less important to the majority of the country. And you saw on Twitter the asshole Philly fan that wrote, "Oh, look, he made a joke about Edwin Diaz getting injured, and then he took it back when he got completely destroyed on Twitter," because this is not about Edwin Diaz. This is the fact that this could have been Trey Turner. This could have been this could have been anybody on another team. If this was Trey Turner, I would be just as upset, even if it is benefiting the Mets, because of the fact you are risking guys that mean everything to your team because of a pointless tournament that shouldn't even be happening. Because it's a money grab. It's 100% a money grab by Rob Manfred. Rob Manfred has done nothing good to better the game. He's hurting organizations to put some money in the pocket of Major League Baseball. That's the problem. I'll never blame the player for wanting to play for your country. I understand that. I get the passion, guys. I understand that. I would love to play. But I know going in that there's a risk of me getting injured. And sometimes as a player, you have to be smart about it. You have to take your pride out of it for your country and say, listen, I just got $100 million from Steve Cohen, the richest contract in closer history, and I'm going to play in a useless WBC because if Edwin Diaz finds a way to make the Hall of Fame, you think if Puerto Rico wins a couple of World Baseball Classics, Edwin Diaz is a part of it, you think on the plaque it's going to say World Series champion, Cy Young, WBC champion? No, because it's an exhibition. Nobody actually cares about it enough. I can assure you, you can't name one roster over the last couple of WBCs like you can name your Mets roster in 2015 or name your roster in 2022 for your team that you root for. I'm sorry. The anger is legitimate. And I know some people are talking about, oh, it's every 3 years. It's not that big of a deal. Well, yes, it is. It is a problem because you're taking my guys, our guys, that can win us a World Series and putting us in an exhibition game. All right? It's not the point. He did not throw a pitch and get hurt. He did not try to cover first base and blow out his knee. He was celebrating a pointless game that might matter to people who love the game of baseball, right? I can assure you there was a packed house in Miami last night, right? But you really think a lot of those people are fans of teams or are they fans of players that are from their country? And that's fine. But you know what? They're going to work. They're enjoying themselves, right? But they don't care about the Mets. They don't care if Trey Turner blew out his knee. They don't care if Freeman has a pulled hamstring. Brooks Raley had to come back because he hurt his hamstring. It's absolutely stupid. And it is a money grab, and it is frustrating because of the fact that somebody can get seriously hurt like Edwin Diaz. And my anger and being pissed off about it would have been the same if it was a Philly or a big-time Philly player or a big-time Braves player, even if it benefits the Mets, because it's a problem. There's a lot of collegiate players. There's a lot of players in the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, that play in all types of leagues in their countries, the professional leagues in their countries, that would love to play in the WBC and get recognized like that kid from Nicaragua, right? Let players that would never get an opportunity to be in the spotlight play, right? There's a whole Dominican Winter League. You don't think there's a lot of Dominican players that would love to get an opportunity to play for their country, knowing that they're not making millions of dollars? It's pointless. It is absolutely pointless. If he got hurt during the actual game, I wouldn't be as upset because it could have happened in spring training. But celebrating in spring training is not happening when you strike out the side in the 9th inning of a meaningless spring training game. All right? He got hurt celebrating. That's why it's more upsetting, and anger is because of this. That's the problem, guys. And I appreciate the players' passion. Trust me, I do. I played baseball, high school, and at the college level. I never was good enough to get to the minors, but I played college ball. I got a scholarship. I was good enough to get a scholarship. Thank God. I understand the passion. I understand it. I played in the under 18 for USA. That was a part of the eastern part of the country and the western part of the country. I played that. I understand that. But the point of the matter is, number one, the players are not making money from this. Number two, you're risking great players that are on your team that are not wearing your jersey that can completely derail a season. And you see people in the comments right now, right? Well, we could have been a 98 win team. Now we're what, a 93, 94 win team? Somebody said earlier, I don't remember who it was. Oh, you know what? We were World Series contenders, but we're lucky to we might be a third wild card team. Well, guess what? A third wild card team made the World Series last year in the Philadelphia Phillies, right? We can take positives out of it, but let's not worry about the positives at the moment, because right now we have to figure out a closer. Is that going to be David Robertson? Is that going to be Drew Smith? Is that going to be Ottavino? Is that going to be Brooks Raley? Is it going to be the Mets are going to sign Zach Britton now just to get an extra arm in the bullpen? I believe they're going to make David Robertson the closer, but he is nowhere near Edwin Diaz. And you know what? When the people who were saying, oh, well, you know, it could have happened, it's a freak accident, I understand that, guys. And I appreciate your passion as well. But when David Robertson blows a couple of games in a row and Diaz is nowhere to be found, don't bring up the WBC now. You can't be pissed then and then not be pissed off now, because it's going to affect games during the year. When you have a lights out closer and an easy 3-run lead can be a 3-run victory and a save turns into a 1-run loss because Edwin Diaz is not part of the mix. That's when we're going to be more upset. It sucks, guys. It really does suck. And I'm sorry I'm ranting and raving about it, but you know what? You know how passionate I am about my Mets, and it's not about being a Mets fan and it happened to the Mets. You know, there was people on Twitter, LOL Mets. People were saying the Mets are cursed. Probably. But the point is, I would have been angered. I would have been angry and as passionate as I am right now and pissed off if it was a player on the Phillies or the Braves that were as important as Edwin Diaz is to the Mets. If Trey Turner blew out his freaking knee running the first base or even celebrating, whatever it is, I would have been just as angry, because that is a huge risk the organization is having for letting their players play in the WBC. I'm telling you guys, you're going to see owners and organizations say, listen, you're not playing in the WBC. Look what happened to Diaz. A freak accident can happen to anybody. We understand at any moment. You can trip in the tub. You can fall over your dog. You can fall down the stairs. I understand that. But the whole point is that you're 2 weeks away from opening day officially. You can't pray and say, oh my God. And there was people waking up that didn't even know what happened, seeing messages in Twitter and all over the place that Diaz is injured. Like, come on, guys. Like, 8 months of recovery for a game that is never going to be recognized ever. If Diaz becomes a Hall of Famer, they're not going to say WBC champion. It ain't going to happen. I'm sorry, guys. But see, Edward, I understand you want to move on. We're going to move on. But it just happened. Okay? It just happened with 2 weeks left in spring training, 2 weeks left in opening day. I'm sorry. If you're not as mad as me, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, because you're going to be the same person when David Robinson blows a game. Well, if Diaz was here, he would have closed the game out, right? When the Mets are struggling to find a closer because David Robertson can't do the job. Ottavino was not good enough to be a closer. And then what are you going to do? You're going to be scrambling to find a closer, right? We dealt with that for years. And it becomes a problem when you start losing games because of it. You have one of the best closers, if not the best closer in baseball, and now he's not part of your bullpen. And now what this does, that lovely bullpen, that elite bullpen that the Mets had, is now a little bit less good because of the fact you got to move everybody up now. You know, when you can have, Drew Smith can pitch the 6th inning. Oh, well, you know what? David Robinson's our 8th inning guy. Now our bridge is now Ottavino to Robinson. That's still decent, but it's not as dominant and elite as it was with Diaz a part of that 9th inning. But you know what? Now we have to still. Well, Chris, I don't really know. I don't really know about that. There was a couple of guys, you know, jumping up and down with Edwin Diaz, and I'm not sure if Edwin Diaz was jumping with them or somebody like stepped on him and it awkwardly turned his leg. I don't know. But it seemed like everybody was like, hey, jumping like that. And, you know, he just landed wrong, I guess. I don't know. You know, it's amazing that, you know, something so small and simple can completely tear a patellar tendon. A full thickness tear of the patellar tendon is not easy to tear. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's crazy to me. It sucks, guys. And, you know, I appreciate that these guys want to play for their country in the WBC, but it's not the Olympics and it's not the World Cup. It never will be that. All right. That's the reason why, you know what? The World Cup, I could have found it. I found it on Fox. All right. The Olympics, I could find it on NBC, the major networks. All right. When I have to click, if you have Spectrum, channel 400 on Fox Sports 1 or Fox Sports 2, it's not as important. All right. So get that out of your head that it actually is like the World Cup or it's like the Olympics, because it's not even freaking close. All right. It's not even close, because if it was, it would be on Fox. I mean, you got March Madness, you got college basketball on major networks, but the WBC, who has stars, Major League Baseball stars, and they put them on Fox Sports 1. All right. It's not that important, guys. Let's be honest. All right. You know what's on Fox Sports 1? Have you seen it during the day? You got a little bit of rugby and you got a little bit of pickleball. Like, I mean, come on, guys. Like it sucks. It absolutely sucks. And it's not, he's done for the season. It's an 8-month recovery, but even worse that not enough people are talking about, it's his push-off leg, his right leg. He gets all his power from that leg. We don't know if he's ever going to be the same pitcher again, because that is a tough injury to have. And you're constantly torquing that leg. You're pushing off on that leg. That 8 months recovery, yeah, he might be, you know, healthy as a human being, you know, walking down the street. But is he going to be a healthy baseball player and be the same dominant player that we're going to have that we just signed a $100 million contract to? Yep. Right wing, I don't agree with you. The hell with making it important. You know what's important? March 30th. That's when it's important. That's when it's important. Baseball tried to make it important. All right. They tried so hard that it's on Fox Sports 1. All right. I'm sorry. It's not that important. All right. Rob Manfred knew it can be a money grab, because that's all it is. All right. I can assure you, no owner wants their players at the WBC. And once again, if you want to make it like that kid from Nicaragua who the Detroit Tigers signed on the spot when he shook out Rodriguez, Soto, and all those guys from Nicaragua, the 19-year-old kid, there is a ton of 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds in all those countries that will never get the spotlight. Put them on the team. Wouldn't it be cool to see 19, 20-year-olds, 22-year-olds that are from other countries that might have the opportunity to shine in the WBC on a network, instead of watching Lindor, and every time he's, you know, when he hit that inside the park home run, I'm praying, like, please don't step on the base wrong. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm not thinking, oh, look how great that was. Look how fast he's running. No, I'm praying that he doesn't slide wrong or step on the bat wrong. That's what I was thinking about. That's not fun. All right, that's not fun. If you're not thinking about that and you're only worried about that, and you're only worried about the game in hand, that really means absolutely nothing the next day. Like, come on, it's crazy. Yeah, Charlie, I agree with you, buddy. I freaking agree with you. You know what? Judge is smart, but you know what? Severino wanted to pitch in the WBC, and Cashman told him no. You know what? I appreciate that from Cashman. I think Cashman has done a terrible job the last couple of years, which I can care less because it's the Yankees, but. One thing I agree with Cashman is like, Severino, no, we need you. We really need you in this rotation. We need you to be healthy. We're trying to win a World Series here. We need you to be healthy. The hell with the WBC, all right? It's not that important because it's only important when everybody is on board, right? This wasn't a committee that Rob Manfred put together with owners and players. Rob Manfred made the decision with a couple of his puppets about putting together a WBC. Because it's a money grab, and that's the whole issue. And you know what? For players like Brandon Nimmo and Aaron Judge that don't want to play, like of course they would want to play for their country, but they know what's more important, and that is the 162 game season that starts on March 30th. And again, I wouldn't be as mad if Edwin Diaz was trying to cover first and he stepped awkwardly on first base and his knee blew out. At least it was during a baseball situation. A game situation. I would say, all right, he could have done that in spring training. But you know what he wouldn't done in spring training? Celebrate after the ninth inning save in spring training. He would have walked off the field like everybody else. So I don't know. See, John, that's the other thing. Again, money's not an issue for Steve Cohen, but I don't know. And I don't know if the insurance can be collected on his deal. I don't know. Because Is this part of the collective bargaining agreement? I don't know. That's the other thing as well. That's why I have a feeling in the next couple of contracts, in the next couple of years, there's going to be clauses. You play in the WBC, we have the right to null and void your contract because you chose to play in the WBC. I don't know if the insurance is I don't know. MB, I saw your super chat. Thank you. You think we get Zach Britton? Well, I would think they would want another arm, but I don't know. They got a couple of guys that's been pitching pretty well in spring. Curtis has been pitching pretty well. And maybe they will stay internally. I'm not really sure about that. So, so I don't know. I heard, I believe it was Andy Martino. Again, take Andy Martino for what it's worth, but he said that. Sorry, I kicked my camera, of course. All right. He said that the Mets weren't necessarily excited about his workout that they went to see him pitch. Like they didn't see it as he was really the Zach Britton that they remember. Maybe he's still out there, so I guess the workout wasn't as good because there's a lot of teams that could use Zach Britton, and if they don't think that it's worth the trouble, I guess he didn't have a really good workout. So I would pick him up. I mean, what can be if he doesn't have if he doesn't have it, you can give him the league minimum. I don't know. If he takes that. Yeah, Carl. Yeah, I understand he'll be 100% after surgery, but 100% after surgery as a healthy human being, not as your push-off leg throwing, 250 pitches, 300 pitches, 400 pitches throughout the season. That's something that we don't know if you can get that same drive off your leg, off the mound. We don't know that. He gets all his power from that leg. How do we know that he can't just hurt it again? We don't know that. He can be 100%, walking down the street, living his normal life. But as a baseball player, can he be 100%? Let's hope so. But Zach Britton, I would sign him. I don't know if the Mets will. Well, right wing, but again, that's still a part of the season. It actually matters because look what the Phillies did. They made the World Series by being that extra wild card team. This is not the money grab for playoffs is understandable. The money grab for the WBC is pointless because it benefits nobody except the pockets of Major League Baseball. That's it. It doesn't benefit nobody. Yeah, you get the fans get brag. The fans who root for their country gets bragging rights for a couple of weeks. That's it. I mean, come on. Well, we all know why he was in Tokyo, in Japan. He was probably, talking to Ohtani a little bit, legally. All right, let me just check the comments really quick, guys. Somebody says I blame the Dream Team. Yeah, Brandon, honestly, I think it was Japan, but I think it was because I think they said it on one of the broadcasts. But like I'm not sitting like USA's playing in Arizona, right? I'm not sitting up at 10 o'clock at night seeing them play Colombia. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not. Like, I'm really not. I mean, come on. Like, you know what? The WBC is so important that Great Britain could even put real freaking stitches on letters on the jersey, right? Colombia looked like they used the extra fabric they had for the Colombian soccer national team, the fabric they had left over for their jerseys, and put that together. That's what it looks like. Like, you got 5 countries that actually have legitimate jerseys and uniforms. Other than that's how much it doesn't care. You think Great Britain or England is going to have bad jerseys for the World Cup? No, of course not. You think the Olympics are going to have terrible uniforms or jerseys or merchant or what they wear for whatever sport they're playing in? No. Like, it's all a joke. And if you don't think it is, not enough people are taking it serious enough. Their own countries, like Great Britain, you think they took that seriously? Seriously, you think that country took it seriously? Or that kingdom? I mean, come on. Like, they didn't. Like, the team was falling off great on their jersey. I mean, come on. Like, it's so stupid. It really is. No, Carl, yes, they do. They do have say in the players not playing in the WBC, right? I just told you, Brian Cashman told Luis Severino, you are not playing in the WBC. Organizations have the right to tell the players no to the WBC. It's not the players' decision. The players' decision say, yeah, I want to play, but it's ultimately up to the organization. It's not up to the players. Yes, the player, Luis Severino, wanted to play. Cashman told him, no, you're a New York Yankee. You're not playing, right? And that happened to a couple of players and organizations that says to their player, they're not playing, okay? Some of these organizations don't want to get certain players mad because they might be coming to a contract. You think the Angels want Shohei Ohtani to play in the World Baseball Classic knowing that he's going to be a free agent? No, they don't want him to get him mad because they're going to try to re-sign him. Oh, Robert, thank you, buddy. I'm sorry, Carl. I don't agree. I'm sorry. Severino was told you're not playing in the WBC. It's not up to the players. The organization has the ultimate call. Steve Cohen is a players guy, right? He likes to make his players happy. I understand Steve Cohen saying, hey, you want to play, it's up to you. I understand. Like, I'm not blaming the players for playing. Like, I'm sorry. If I was a player, I'd be playing. I would. I'd be putting that USA jersey on. I'm sorry. I would. But I also know in the back of my head that if I get injured, that it's going to hurt my team. I'm going to have that second thought that, you know what, maybe I shouldn't play because what matters more is the team across my chest. All right. You could still be prideful about your country by not playing in the WBC. You think if Lindor didn't play in the WBC, Puerto Ricans around the world would be like, oh, Lindor, I hate you. No. Right? They'll be the first ones waving that Puerto Rican flag in the stands for Francisco Lindor. The same thing goes for every other player on every other country. All right, guys? All right? Let's see. Andy said that on Baseball Night in New York yesterday. Chile, the closers available. I mean, you consider Zach Britton a closer? I mean, I maybe. I mean, the Mets. Look, Robertson could be a closer. Again, he's not going to be at Diaz level, but he could be a solid closer. But again, there's going to be times when Robertson doesn't have it, just like every other pitcher, and people who like the WBC are going to be like, well, if the Mets had Diaz, well, it's the WBC. That's the reason why he got hurt. Like, he was on a team in the WBC. That's why he got hurt. Oh, sorry, guys. Let me just throw up my charger really quick. Sorry about that. Oh, God. So frustrating, guys. It really is. Yeah, I am talking uniforms because, people are talking like it's very, like it's so important around the world. Like, is it really? Right? Great Britain really cared about their country in the World Baseball Classic when they couldn't put real jerseys on their players, right? I mean, look at the jerseys around. Let's look at them, right? I mean, they're terrible. Like, there's a couple of jerseys for their teams, for the countries that are legitimate. Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Japan, Korea. Look at Colombia's jersey. It looks like they took extra fabric from the U.S. soccer, the Colombian soccer national team, and they had it left over, and they put the baseball jersey together like that. I mean, let's see. Yeah, Carl. Exactly. Of course they do. Everybody gets the money. The owner, the MLB. That's why Ron Murphy did it. It was all about the money. It's not about pride of the country. Come on, guys. Like, you really think Ron Murphy gives a damn about the pride of the players' countries? No, he doesn't care about that. Well, Carl, almost every player has injury history, right? But they can stop everybody. They can stop everybody. Like Edwin Diaz. Well, you know what? You had a little bit of an issue. You had a little bit of a finger issue a couple of years ago. We're going to take you out. Every player has some type of injury history. Even if it's a little thing, they can stop you from going to the WBC. Yeah, Carl, again, the whole point is it's still stupid. The point is the players should be smart enough and listen, go play if you want to, but know the risk. I don't think they care enough about the risk because they're so concerned about let's win for the pride of my country. Great. So all of a sudden you're not going to be a Puerto Rican because you're not playing for the WBC? Come on. That's crazy to me. The Reds. Yeah, I mean, I agree, it is. But would friends from Colombia, and Nicaragua still be so excited to watch the WBC if it was just players that are Dominican and Puerto Rican that are not stars of Major League Baseball? You should be, right? Is it only about the players that are playing for the country, or is it actually about the colors of the flag? Because the players shouldn't matter. Well, Brittany, that's a good one. I don't think Harvey wants to be a closer or a relief pitcher. I think he wants to be a starter. Again, I guess if one team calls him only and the Mets say, hey, we want you in a bullpen, he's going to say no. I mean, maybe. But, I mean, why not? Everybody, look, all options are on the table at this point for the Mets, guys. Like, honestly. Like, the Mets have enough internally to use one of those guys, as the poll says, one of those guys to be a closer. But again, it moves everybody up in the rotation, in the bullpen's rotation. So that means the lower part of your bullpen is a little bit weaker. Does that have a spot for Tyler McGill now in the bullpen? Probably not, because the Mets probably want to keep him stretched out in the minors. It's a trickle down effect here. The bullpen is weaker today than it was yesterday prior to the injury of Diaz. So it sucks, but you still got to play a 162-game season. Now, there's no excuses, right? We can't complain about Diaz in game 27 of the season when the Mets blow a lead because they couldn't save the game, right? We can't talk about Diaz at that point. At that point, it's next man up, right? That's what we got to do now. Let's see what else we got. Sorry, guys, I'm just checking comments. Carl, I agree with you with that. I'm not saying it's the only decision. The point is, sometimes you have to take a step back as a player and realize that, yes, I would love to play for my country, but there is an organization that is paying me millions and millions of dollars to perform during a 162-game season. All right? The WBC now affects the Mets organization because Edwin Diaz got hurt for playing in the tournament. And he didn't get hurt during a baseball situation or during a baseball moment or baseball action. He just didn't do that. That's why it's so frustrating. Eric, thank you. That's what I believe it should be, right? There's enough players around the world that play baseball. You go to Nicaragua, there's thousands of players playing in probably some type of a league that why don't you get players that can get the opportunity to showcase, as Eric said, in the WBC? Wouldn't that be much more fun? You know, like that Nicaraguan kid, that 19-year-old that got signed on the spot by the Tigers. There's thousands of kids like that can be a part of the WBC, that will play their hearts out to be on TV and showcase themselves to Major League Baseball teams and scouts. Why can't we do that? I just don't understand that. Like, it's not that important. If it's about the country and it's about the pride, then it's about the players, the stars in Major League Baseball. Is that the only reason why? So you're telling me that there would have been 30,000 fans in Lone Depot Park yesterday that were Puerto Ricans and Dominicans? They wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Lindor being there or Baez being there? Well, then that's the problem with that. It should be a showcase event. Yeah, exactly, Brandon. 100%. I wouldn't say cost our season because I don't think that's fair to the rest of the guys on the roster because they're not looking at it that way. You think Justin Verlander is saying, oh, the season's over, so why pitch well? No. They're going to still go out there and try to win a World Series. But it does hurt the team. There's no question about that, Bobby. And it's unfortunate. And it sucks. But you got – look, it's 24 – it's not even 24 hours since it happened. You know, everybody has a right to be pissed if you want to be. If you want to take another approach and not be pissed off about it and say it could have happened anywhere, which I don't agree with, because if it was a spring training game on March 15th and he struck out the side in the ninth inning to save the game, he wouldn't have celebrated the way he did. And that's how he got hurt. So yeah, but that doesn't mean that you're going to look frowned upon by your countrymen because you didn't put the jersey on of your country. So you're going to tell me that the Puerto Ricans that go to Citi Field are going to stop waving the Puerto Rican flag and wearing their Lindor jersey because he didn't play for the WBC for Puerto Rico? No. I agree, but I care about Diaz. That was the first thing I thought of. I follow his wife on Instagram, and she went to the game, and I only could imagine. Look at his brother crying. That shit hurt me. That hurt seeing his brother basically break down crying. A grown man crying because his brother got injured, and his wife. I don't think they showed a video of her, but she was probably in tears. That matters. But the freak accident happened because he was celebrating in the WBC. That wouldn't have happened in spring training if he'd done the exact same thing for the Mets in the spring training game. Well, Delmar, of course you're going to say that. But guess what? If it was Will Smith or Austin Riley, you wouldn't have said that. The freak accident game was over. But the freak accident was after the game. If it was during the game, you can tell me, hey, Rob, shut up. It was during the game, but I wouldn't have been as mad. I would have been upset. Shit, we don't have a closer. But if it was during the game, he was running the first base, stepped on the bag wrong, blew out his knee. All right, it was a baseball play. That can happen in spring training. But him celebrating would not happen in spring training. You know what, Delmar? When the Mets blow a game against the Braves because they don't have Edwin Diaz and Dave Robertson blows a game against the Braves, I guarantee you there's going to be about 50 Met fans in the chat saying, hey, if we had Edwin Diaz, we probably would have won the game. Well, guess what? Boo-hoo, right? Sorry. Todd, I don't know. It's very hard to tell. Yeah, I think the Mets are going to take a look at Harvey, to be honest with you. Why not? Well, Delmar, you might be right, but again, are the Mets going to be good enough by the trade deadline? Let's hope so, right? I mean, maybe. Like, they probably will, but again, that's going to cost the trade. And I don't know if the Mets are willing to give up prospects, which was the same problem I had with them last year, right? If you're not going to be willing to give up prospects, you're not going to get good players or really good players that help your team enough at the trade deadline. Like, they're so scared to trade prospects when last year, we just assumed that 2023 is going to be as good as last year. And just because we were good last year doesn't mean we're going to be as good as this year. Like, you don't waste opportunities like you had last year. I completely blame Epler for not making his team better because he even said it. He patted himself on the back for keeping his top 25 prospects, which is an absolute joke. Sorry, guys. I'm just looking at the comments. I'm trying to catch up on them. Oh, Consuelo, I know. I know. It sucks. It really does. It sucks. I was not a happy guy going to work last night. Overnight. I was not. I noticed that my coworkers didn't really say much to me. I was pissed, guys. I think you guys know I'm pissed right now. And I was very excited. I'm still very excited about the team. But, I mean, it's a big blow. Like, if you're not a Mets fan, think of the best player on your team getting injured in the WBC and think that's not going to piss you off. Yeah, Griffey. Yeah. I know. The WBC matters, right? Yeah. I don't know about that. But like you said, with injuries, right? Lindor got hurt last year, right? He had an injury. The Mets could have stopped him, right? Diaz probably had some type of issue last year that he couldn't pitch in a ball game. They could have stopped him, right? There's a lot of issues that go into stopping him. The point is, the players need to be smart enough as well, I just want to play for my country. But don't realize the full consequences of if they get hurt, right? Diaz is still cashing the check now, but he's not helping the Mets organization. That's a problem. Oh, Ken, sorry. Not going to – again, I'll get over it, but I guarantee you everybody in the chat, a lot of people in the chat, when Game 65 happens and the Mets blow a save and people are going to bring up Diaz. And I'm going to be like, well, what happened on March 16th when he said, don't worry about it, move on? Well, that's when it's going to happen. Well, Fernando, I just talked about it that of course I worry about the guy, worry about his family, of course. But you know what? I'm also worrying about the baseball team, right? I have a Mets YouTube channel, right? I am a season ticket holder. I go to a ton of games. I spend a ton of money, right? I spent a ton. My season tickets went up because the Mets played extremely well last year, and now they're expected to be just as good. Money goes up. Everything goes up. Parking goes up. Concessions go up. That matters. If it doesn't matter, then what's the point? Everything is a trickle-down effect. It affects everything. Emmanuel, that's just a stupid comment. I'm sorry. That has nothing to do with pride. I'm telling you, if Francisco Lindor doesn't play for the national team, but a young 20-year-old from Puerto Rico who is finally get to showcase himself on the WBC platform because they're on TV, that's not going to matter to you? It only matters because Lindor's playing? Then you're more about the player that's a star for your country than the 19-year-old that could have been playing in that spot instead. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it, buddy. I get it. But the pride, I get it. And I said that. I'm not blaming the players for playing in the WBC. The point is he got hurt celebrating because of that. And I appreciate the passion for the country. But it is the WBC fault because the WBC did not happen. Diaz would be jumping up celebrating a spring training save. Like, that's the problem. I appreciate the passion. That's why these guys are so good. You know what I'm saying? Their competitive level, their passion is why they're so good. Nobody, listen, there is no more passionate player than a Latin American player. All right? I completely understand that. I played baseball with a ton of Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. I went to school with a ton of Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. I played with them. All right? All right? I played with all those guys. Tiriki tatati, tiriki tatata. I know all that stuff. Trust me. I am white as white, but I played with Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, okay? I was in the dugouts chanting and all that stuff. I remember those days. I'm sorry. But when the WBC is on Fox Sports 1, it's not that important, guys. It might be important to you, but it still affects organizations if guys get hurt like Edwin Diaz. I agree with that, Fernando. Well, hey, if you look what I say here, I wanted to put this up because I think it's important, right? Coffee, you're on the bench. Alcohol, suit up. Can't we all agree with that? I like that. I saw that in Home Goods, and I'm like, I gotta get that. April 8th and 9th, well, I'll be there. Oh, Houston. No, I agree. I'm just saying, I personally been around Latin American baseball players my entire life. You know, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Ecuadorians, you know, Colombians, you know, for the ones that actually like baseball as well. I've been around that. I played high school and college ball with a ton of them. All right. I appreciate their I didn't play baseball. I know, of course, look at Japan. Look at Taiwan. I know their passion. I'm just saying my personal experience playing with Dominican players, Puerto Rican players, Ecuadorian players. I appreciate their passion, right? You know, it steps up my game, all right, because how passionate they are. I appreciate that. But there you go, Ken. There you go, Ken. Let's see. Well, that's the thing, Brandon. It might not just affect this year. There's no guarantee that he's going to be 100% ready for the 2024 season. You know, it sucks. But don't think for a second that this is not helping, you know, the Braves and the Phillies, because it absolutely is. You know, would the Braves or the Phillies rather face David Robertson or Edwin Diaz? I think we both know who they're going to pick. No, it couldn't. Jesus, guys. He didn't get hurt playing baseball. He got hurt celebrating. Get that through everybody's head. Please, with the comments. Guys, he did not get hurt playing baseball. He got hurt celebrating in the WBC. All right. If he struck out the side in the 9th inning and saved the game in spring training, he wouldn't have been jumping around on the field with his teammates if that happened in a spring training game. because he was celebrating because it was the WBC. That's the problem. If he got hurt playing baseball for the WBC, if he stepped on first the wrong way and blew out his knee, I wouldn't have been this mad. It would have sucked, but I wouldn't have been this mad. The point is, he was celebrating for the WBC, which is great. He was passionate. You should be. It's your country. The point is, it wasn't during the baseball game. It was after. That's what you're not understanding here. Oh, yeah, of course the Phillies are stacked. But that's why it's frustrating as well, because you lose one of the biggest pieces to your team that can help you beat that stacked Phillies team and lineup. The same thing with the Braves. Again, he did not get hurt playing baseball. He got hurt celebrating after the fact. Huge difference. On March 15th. Okay, if he struck out the side in the ninth inning and got the save in spring training, he would have high-fived his catcher, fist pumped the rest of his teammates, walked in the dugout. He would have been jumping on the field. That's the difference. If you don't get that, it's totally different. It just does. You can't say it can happen at any moment. No. He would have been jumping on March 15th at spring training, guys. And he healed. That's awesome. I love that you said that. But it wouldn't have happened anywhere, anytime, because he wouldn't have been jumping on port in first. What the hell's it called? Clover Park. He wouldn't have been jumping on that field if he struck out the side in the ninth inning of a spring training game. Because it was the WBC, I appreciate the celebration. That's fine. But he got hurt celebrating. He didn't get hurt playing the game of baseball. And I love the fact that it brings you and your father together. I love that fact. But it does not fix the main problem here. Was he was celebrating not playing for the Mets organization. That's the problem. The Mets organization is now hurt and derailed. And it might cause a problem during the season. And people will come back and say, well, if we had Edwin Diaz, we might have not lost that game. We might have closed that game out. Oh, well. So let's just all right. So let's go. So we continue to see, let's go to the actual Mets now, right? Brett Baty and Ronnie Mauricio continue to tear the cover off the ball. Brett Baty is looking really much better defensively as well. I think Brett Baty's going to make the team. Darren Ruff looks terrible. We all see that. So I think Brett Baty is going to make the team. But is Ronnie Mauricio going to make the team? Again, we know about the situation that he's in. He technically doesn't have a spot to play in the infield, even as a bench guy. Right? It's hard to get playing time for him. Why I think they should have moved him to the outfield a couple of years ago, but that can't happen now. So is Ronnie Mauricio going to make the team? Probably not. Brett Baty, probably. So I'm trying to figure out, because there might be a couple of bullpen spots open now, especially after Diaz injury. So Curtis might get that spot now. A couple other guys might get that spot now. So I think Darren Ruff is going to get cut at some point, probably prior to opening day. I don't think he's going to make this team. Thank freaking God. I think Brett Baty deserves it. He's played so good and got better defensively. He reminds me of 2019 Pete Alonso, right? You've seen the flashes of offense, but we were worried about his defense. Brett Baty got better defensively. You could see it. All the work in the Arizona Fall League and all that stuff in the offseason, he worked on it. Could Mark Vientos be a part of that mix as well? Man, it's absolutely I love to see it. And, I say it as this. If these guys are good enough to be in the big leagues, bring them up. Because if you're not going to use them to help the big league ball club, trade them. I've said that before. I say that again, right? You can never say You can never know that 2023 is going to be as good as 2022. You take control of that year. You do everything you can in that year to win, especially if you're one of the best teams in baseball, which the Mets clearly didn't do enough at the deadline, where I think the Mets need to be careful of what they do here. If the guys are good enough to play on the Mets, bring them up if you can. Steven, no Mets, Pete contract. I haven't heard that much. Well, don't get rid of it, but don't put no Major League Baseball players there. Get players that are in those countries that can showcase on the WBC level. Do it that way. Are you going to stop watching it because of that? Well, then don't have it at all. Yeah, I agree, John. Mauricio does have a swing like that. He got a nice swing. I mean, he hits bombs, but again, Mauricio has nowhere to play. It sucks. The Mets put themselves in a position where one of their top prospects, they slowly got rid of the positions that he was able to play. Yeah, Vientos is striking out a lot, but everybody strikes out now. Like, it's not a big thing to these people anymore. Well, Fernando, it wasn't necessarily a fracture. It was more of a lesion on the rib as well. So, I don't know. That's something that's, yeah, I know. I mean, but see, with the Quintana injury, who knows how he got hurt? I don't know. It could have been another freak injury. You want to keep on calling freak injuries? Sure. But no, at least the Mets have a guy that can replace him that could be as good, if not better, in Peterson. You see? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The point is, you're going to see a lot more teams now that are really going to sit down with the players and say, you see what happened to Diaz? It could happen to you. It might make the player second guess himself. Well, listen, Frank is a lot of things, but yeah, he was right about this. But, I mean, what are you going to do? Alvarez is not doing good. I said this, guys, again. I don't think Alvarez is going to be as good as everybody thinks he's going to be. I don't think so. I'm sorry. I don't think so. I think Kevin Parada is going to be a better overall player than Francisco Alvarez. I don't understand how the number one overall prospect in all of baseball is the number one prospect in all of baseball, but yet he's not ready to be in the big leagues, and his defense is not up to par to big league level yet. I don't understand it. Yeah, BX, I know. Only one freak accident. Well, you know what? Wait until more freak accidents happen or more guys get injured. And then, I'm telling you, it's going to be more of an issue later on, buddy. I'm telling you. Yeah, it's going to be tough. The National League is stacked. This hurts the Mets. And it benefits other teams facing the Mets, man. It really does suck. All right, guys. So, let's finish this up with the stream today for Mets Talk Live. Once again, thank you for everybody for tuning in today. It was heavily on Edwin Diaz, and you guys all know why. I'm not going to give Frank the same credit because he is one of the most negative people of all time. I understand it. He is mad, but he gets mad about every. He even talked about the team when the team was in first place by 10 games, and he was still negative. No, he was right, but it was his opinion that happened to be right. That's what it was. Well, I don't know if anything torn is good, but a dislocation would have probably been better. He might have been back in 2 months. But let's hope that Edwin Diaz gets healthy personally, as his life. I mean, with a regular surgery and a normal person, you have your surgery, you have your rehab, you can enjoy your life. Let's just hope he has that first and then comes back and can be the pitcher he was that we all know he can be. Well, with that said, guys, It sucks that Edwin Diaz got hurt, but by tomorrow, it's next man up, and that's what the Mets have to figure out. Is it internal? Are they going to sign Zach Britton, Matt Harvey? We shall see. Once again, guys, tomorrow the Mets are playing, I believe, at 6 o'clock. Tomorrow. I believe. I think that's what I saw. They're playing the Marlins tomorrow at 6:10 p.m. It is on SNY. I will be doing a live stream at 6:10 p.m. I will start the live stream at 5:30 for a little bit of a pregame. So tune in tomorrow. Mets Marlins spring training. Carlos Carrasco is on the mound against Yuri Perez. We'll get to enjoy a little bit of Mets baseball on SNY. If you're new to the channel, you get to see how I do things during the live stream during Mets baseball. With that said, everybody, have a great night. Let's go, Mets. Edwin Diaz, make a full recovery, buddy. We're behind you 110%. Let's go, Mets. We still can win with the guys we have. People got to step up. Let's make it happen, guys. Everybody, have a great night. Let's go, Mets. See you tomorrow night, 6:10, Mets Marlins spring training game. 2 weeks until opening day in Miami, guys. Have a great night. Let's go, Mets.
You'll find a Mets fan. Let's go. This is a Mets cheer for all your Mets here. Let's go.